Hello everybody. Today I thought we could talk a little bit about recording doubles, why we record doubles, and also not a secret way, but like the way that I record doubles that I haven't seen many other producers do, and something that a lot of artists who I work with tell me really helps their songs. So I thought I'd share it with you guys, and then you can use it in your own tracks and see how you like it, or if you do or not. Just before we get into this, if you haven't subscribed already, click the subscribe button down below. I think about 50% of people who watch these videos are subscribed, so it'd be great to have you on. Click the bell and you'll be notified when I upload new videos. And at the minute, I'm doing 3 videos a week, so there's plenty of new content to dig into. Right, let's get into this. In this lesson, I'm going to be using my song Falling, which is a song I wrote and recorded with my bandmate Jane, and we released it as The Kind last year. Falling has a really nice vocal track, and we recorded all the doubles that we're going to talk about in this video for that song. So I think it's a really good song to use as an example, and any cutaways you're going to hear are going to be of that. So I think right at the start, what is a double? So when we say let's record doubles, or what, recording doubles, we're usually referring to recording exactly the same part again. Why would you do that? Usually it's to like add thickness to a sound, or to like make it punchier or sound larger than life, or larger than one singer singing down a microphone could sound like, right? It's used so frequently in pop music, but also in most other genres of music too. But in pop music, there's a few little tricks we can use to sort of trick the listener into thinking that the vocal is so much bigger than it actually is. A question I get asked by a lot of beginners is, why can't you just take the first vocal and then copy it down and pan it left, and then it's like a different vocal? There's some really technical reasons why that won't work, but you can try it yourself at home and you'll listen and you'll be like, that doesn't sound bigger, it sounds smaller. And there's definitely workarounds as well that you can kind of fake doubles by doing that kind of, but I'd never really recommend you do it. It's never gonna sound as good as just recording your own vocal again. I mentioned you could pan stuff left and right. Why do we do that? It's, again, to make stuff sound bigger than it is. The whole world of pop vocal production is making one vocalist sound way bigger, punchier, stronger, more in your face than they have any right to really be singing down a microphone on their own. And we have all sorts of little tricks to make that happen. Doubles is the main one, but also panning. It allows us to fill the stereo field with someone's voice, as long as they do enough takes. And it tricks your ears into thinking that they're far more present than one voice would be able to be on its own. So we come to my doubling secret arrangement, and I have it in all my templates. I have it already set up, so I record my lead vocal, and then all my doubles are already ready to go. That's what we're going to go through next. So the first step is to make sure that you have a really, really strong lead vocal take already comped, and if possible tuned as well. So that's going to mean in your session, after you've recorded the vocals, you're going to take 5-10 minutes, make sure you got a full comp of the song, start to finish, particularly the choruses, and if you do have time, make sure you do some little tuning adjustments so it's as close as possible to your final vocal take.
'Cause when you speak, the room goes quiet. I'm staring so fixated by that look in your eyes, and I know now I'm falling, 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 yeah. Now.
Step 2 is going to be the standard doubles that everyone's done. The one thing you're going to notice in this technique is that we're going to stereo double everything. So that means you're going to do 2 doubles every time. So this first step is going to be an exact replica of the main vocal take. The same tune, the same delivery, everything as identical as you can possibly make it, twice. We're going to pan these 15 left and 15 right, and that's going to sound like this.
Quiet. I'm staring so fixated by that look in your eyes, and I know now I'm falling, falling, falling.
Okay, cool. So now we've got our lead vocal and our 2 stereo doubles. This is going to give us a nice narrow vocal, but still sound far thicker than having one just on its own. Step 3. This is going to make probably the biggest difference out of all of these steps for the stereo image of your lead vocal. Remember, we're not talking about harmonies, we're just talking about your main lead here. So we've got those 3 tracks. What we're going to do now is do 3 more doubles. But this time, I want you to get your vocalist to sing really softly. I want them to almost whisper down the microphone, and it's kind of very unnatural for singers to do it. So if you're the producer in this situation, try and be patient with your vocalist, because it's quite a difficult thing to do, to sing this quietly. If you're a singer, take your time. time. Make sure you drink plenty of water and try not to use too much air because that's really bad for your voice. So we're going to pan our vocals like so. We're going to have hard left, hard right, and then one right down the middle. That's going to give you 3 vocals that are right on the edges of the stereo field and then your core right down the middle. It's going to really spread the sound of your vocals. The other thing we're going to do is add an EQ to each of these tracks and low cut up to about 1K. That's really, really high for a vocal, maybe even further. But what it does is it leaves you with the twinkly high frequencies on the top, and that's all we want. We're just tickling the sides of the stereo image to give the impression of width without being too punchy in the sides, because you don't want it to get muddy.
I'm staring so fixated by that look in your eyes, and I know now I'm falling, yeah.
Great, so that's sounding really good now, and we're now running 6 vocals all at the same time. It's starting to sound thick, but as you can hear, it still sounds like one vocal in the mix. The next stage is going to be kind of dependent on where your vocal line sits in your vocalist's voice. So we're going to do either an octave up or an octave down of the lead vocal. If it's obviously too high for them to do an octave up, you're going to do the octave down, that's fine. And we're going to pan this 2 left and 2 right. So remember, we're going to do 2 of each. This is going to be 2 left and 2 right on the pan. This is going to make sure that your lead vocal has a little bit of variation right down the center, and it's going to massively thicken up that central section. These should be turned way down, just so you can barely hear them when you solo the doubles, but it is going to add a lot of dimension to that lead vocal sound. This is what that should sound like.
When you speak, the room goes
Quiet. I'm staring so fixated
by that look in your eyes, and I know now
I'm falling.
And finally, the last kind of secret sauce on this double malarkey. After this point, it's kind of fair to say that this isn't a double. It is a harmony, but I include it in the double section because I do it on every song. This usually comes in only in the choruses, do bear that in mind. We'll get to when to use doubles later, and it's a little more difficult to work out than the others. This is what I call my 1-note double, and it's the final step in kind of like my double arrangement. Then we move on to harmonies. So what's the purpose of this? Basically, a 1-note double is going to create tension between different notes of your vocal because we're just going to sing 1 note the whole time. And that tension is going to kind of work the same as a power chord on the guitar, in that it's going to make your vocal sound a lot thicker. If we turn that part too loud, it's going to sound like a harmony. But if we turn it down and mix it in subtly, it's going to add that thickness without being too present. So usually you're going to be singing either the root note or the 5th. And there's only one real rule. You have to sing 1 note through the whole chorus. You're only allowed to change it down 1 semitone if it's a really bad clash. And you'll hear when that happens. Sometimes it's like, whoa, that is a honking note. In which case you can move it down a semitone or up a semitone to resolve it, but then you have to go back to that same 1 note. Let me show you in the track and then you might understand a bit more what I mean.
When you speak, the room goes quiet. I'm staring so fixated by that look in your eyes, and I know now I'm falling, yeah.
Do you see? So we've kind of got that really, really solid core vocal here. So we're going to pan our 1 notes, 10 left and 10 right. So we've got lead vocal, 2 left and right, we've got the octave up or down, 10 left and right, we've got that 1 note harmony double, 15 left and right, we've then got our main doubles that are holding all of this middle section together, and then right on the edges and down the center, we have those really high, low cut, breathy doubles. If you're running all of these and they've been recorded well, you will be thinking like, wow, this is sounding way, way better and also way tighter and punchier than one vocal could achieve on its own, and also than like one vocal with a double could achieve on its own. But like, when do you use them? Because if you just have them going through the whole song, it's going to sound ridiculous. Definitely. So there's no real one answer to this, and also there's no kind of right or wrong way to do it. I usually think about the song as obviously building a dynamic towards that last chorus, where the last chorus is far bigger than the rest of the song, and that means introducing new parts in each section. That means that in the first pre-chorus, I'll usually introduce my normal doubles. They're the standard left and rights. And then in the first main chorus, I'll introduce potentially the octave up or down, or you can have a play with it. But I usually introduce one new element of the doubles per pre-chorus and chorus. In the last section, then you've got all your doubles, and then you add some harmonies as well, and you're really getting a big vocal sound. The one thing to bear in mind is that you can do a lot of cool vocal arrangements that aren't all double work. Sometimes in the second verse you could do like a cool little harmony on one word and just do loads of doubles of that to make it sound really big. In Falling we did that on the word colours, which I think adds a lot of colour to that second verse. We just did loads of takes of harmonies for that one word in the second verse, but there aren't any doubles. Just check out how that sounds here.
Said you want all of my colors, colors, all of my colors.
And that did take quite a long time to record, but it makes a massive difference to the excitement in that second verse, I think. The final thing I want to talk about is processing doubles, and this is something that I think a lot of people overcomplicate. In my opinion, vocal doubles don't need to be processed in the same way as your lead vocal. The key thing above anything else, above tuning, above compression, EQ, all of that is timing. For a vocal double to be effective, it has to be perfectly in time with the lead vocal. If the effect you're going for is that one unified sound. If you're going for kind of a lazy multiple people singing thing, cool, don't bother with this. But if you want it to sound tight, you really, really do have to make sure that they're all lined up on every transient almost perfectly. If you've got some budget for this, then you can buy a piece of software called Revoice Pro. If you want to do it manually, then you can in Logic using the marquee tools and then arrange it, do your crossfades and stuff. It's a bit more time consuming and difficult, but you can still get a really good result. I really recommend spending time doing this on your songs. It will make a massive difference to the final impact of your doubles if you time adjust them properly. So once your tracks have been time adjusted really, really tight and you've tuned them to a level where you're cool with it, then the next thing is going to be some light compression and EQ. So what I tend to do is take out all the low end using an EQ, boost the top quite a lot with either a vintage style EQ, or you can even just use the basic one in Logic. Make sure you de-ess it as well because it's going to get really hissy and bright. And then I'd usually use two compressors, just the standard vocal chain really, which should be a FET, like an 1176, and then an optical style compressor like an LA2A or a CL1B. All of these are just going to squash your vocals down a bit, kind of glue them together as one part, and it will give you a nice standardized volume for your doubles and the rest of the tracks. I think the trouble with over compressing all of your doubles and over processing them is, one, it eats into your CPU unnecessarily, and two, it can make your double sound very much over compressed. You're forgetting that actually you're trying to treat this as one vocal. You've got your lead vocal, which is really compressed, followed by this hyper compressed sort of like double choir. It gets kind of squashed sounding. So letting them breathe a bit is often a really good thing. So that's it. What we're going to end up with is 10 vocal tracks, all panned to fill the stereo field, and then nice and light processing just to lock them in with the lead vocal. This is what that should sound like all together and in the context of the track.
When you speak, the room goes quiet. I'm staring so fixated by that look in your eyes, and I know now I'm falling.
Hope you really enjoyed this video. If you've got any other ideas for how you do your doubles or anything that I've missed, just drop it down in the comment section below. Make sure to give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and I'll hopefully see you in the next video. Cheers.